Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have Jade Holland from Australia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's exciting. You have a new single out. It is, I feel, summertime, sunshine, and you. It feels like a mouthful. It's fun and it's exciting. But before we jump into that, I want to step back a little bit because you have a couple albums out and you have a couple
Yes.
singles out. So if kind of like bring the American audience and everyone up a little bit up to par to where you are right now, if you could just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I put out my first album probably about 10 years ago now. And I wrote and recorded it here in Australia and loved every bit of it. And it was kind of like my introduction to becoming a recording artist.
Mhm.
I'd never done that before. My family's not musical, so I've just kind of been fumbling my way through this and figuring it out for myself as I go. And then a few years after that, I got an opportunity from some Australian friends of mine that live in Nashville. And they said, hey, why don't you come over, do some songwriting with us? If you love it and you want to record here, let's do that. If not, take your music home to my original producer, Sean, here, and go back and record over there. And I flew to Nashville and fell in love with it's like magic that arrives when I arrived there, I felt the magic and I went, holy moly, I have to do this. So we wrote the album, we recorded the album. The album was based off probably like my life at the time.
Mhm.
I'd been single for a number of years and kind of made a lot of fun and a lot of jokes about that because it didn't really faze me, but I have lived a strange dating life where I've got a million stories of, funny dates and things like that I went on that were never successful, thank God. and then so we wrote the album, recorded it in Nashville. I love the whole experience. And aside from the years that COVID's been around, I've been back to America ever since. So for the last 5 years in a row, it's probably every time it's summertime there, I would go back there because I hate winter. So I would fly out of Australia on the first of winter and spend 2 months in America
Nice.
to escape it. Yeah.
That's nice. It's like yeah, Nashville's probably like the capital of songwriting right now, probably in the US. That and Vegas are the two musical places the most now. I think it's changed.
Wow.
I think it used to be it was mostly like New York and and California, but now everyone kind of moved either to Vegas or to Nashville.
Yep. Well,
So
I'm going to have to visit Vegas next time because I've only been to Vegas for 12 hours. That's
that's
it.
more than I have. I actually haven't gone on that side of the United States. So, so what's interesting is you're listen to your music because you call yourself country, but it's not country. Some songs are country-ish, but you could also be a pop singer, like really
Yeah.
your pop tones in some of the songs. Like they totally would have been like pop music without the acoustic, with the the country guitar. But then another song,
Yep.
the next song totally sounds like it could be like an Americana Sheryl Crow song. Like you really do feel like you have a couple of genres all mixed in there.
I do. Yeah. I feel like my style, I just call it Jade style because I don't know there's a technical term for it, but it's kind of my childhood rolled into one.
Mhm.
My parents didn't know what country music was at all. I woke up one day and I said, Mum, I'm going to be a singer. And my mum said, I don't think you can sing at all. How how are you going to be a singer if I don't think you can sing? And we lived in the bush, so we lived an hour away from all kinds of life, all
Yeah.
signs of life. Sorry. So I just said, well, I'll teach myself, and I would turn on the radio every day, and I sat there with a little crappy acoustic guitar that cost me like $50, and I would try and figure out the chords, and I would try and sing the notes, and I taught myself for 10 years of my life. And then we started kind of traveling, doing the country music circuit. And that's when I guess my country kind of upbringing developed because all I had known while I was a kid, while my parents, were raising me, was rock and roll and Metallica. I literally knew Metallica, ZZ Top, Led Zeppelin, all of this. Mum lived for Sheryl Crow, so there's definitely some Sheryl in there. And that was my childhood upbringing. And then I hit the road doing country music across Australia, singing country music across Australia, and learning about the country and our version of country music, which is very different to the US.
Which is,
And
I was trying to figure that out myself today too, so you could probably expand on that.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's a very different vibe. We have, I guess, that's the beautiful thing about music is what would be called pop music in America would
Mhm.
probably not be called pop music in Australia, and vice versa. Um, and I loved, learning about the land here in Australia and traveling to all the different parts of the world, well, Australia. And that's where I think all my sounds came from, was just channeling my entire upbringing and putting it all into one. And then obviously later on in life, I've discovered the Australian kind of pop country, or even American pop country. I love Nashville pop country. And I think that's where I've kind of, it is a bit of a eclectic range of music in my album. It does go from pop to country to probably a little bit of rock in there and then back again. But I think it's a combination of everything I grew up on that I try to incorporate in there.
Well, it's good. It's enjoyable. I just, when I was listening to it, I was like, I know your country. I'm listening to. I'm like, all right, country music. I'm hearing it, and I was like, oh, that's not even a country song. Like, it's like a different person. Totally, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in America, I mean, you really got
Yeah, I just had to.
I'm sorry, the two types of music with country music would be like the older style and the outlaw, Johnny Cash and so forth and back. And then you have the pop version, which probably started getting big, like Garth Brooks and Ford was like, Shania Twain was got a little more extra to it.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the kind of stuff when we were buying, albums as a kid, because my parents had never listened to country music at all. So I said, I want to sing country music. And my mom said, what is that? So, when I was buying albums as a kid, I was buying Australian albums by Casey Chambers or Lee Kernaghan, which is like kind of our modern kind of, not so much pop country, but they're like a rock country almost. Casey's got a little bit of pop in her vibe. And then the other albums, American wise that I would buy would be the Dixie Chicks or the Chicks. And I would buy Garth Brooks. I bought the Garth Brooks album. Actually, I think I bought the whole collection that day. And so I just was trying to vibe, okay, how can I mix all of this into my sound, which is a hard thing to do. But I just wanted to take my favorite pieces of everyone and then incorporate that into my Jade style.
Well, they're fun. So actually, so the album I'm looking at right here is the one you did, and it's the last one, Dream Wild. That one feels a little more of a mix than the first one.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And that was quite Nashville inspired too, actually. I wrote that online or just over a Zoom, the beautiful thing about, the wide web and
Yeah.
everything we have access to these days. And I wrote that with Phil Barton he was in Nashville. He's an Australian who's been in Nashville now for 12 years, doing amazing things. And he called me and on Zoom and said, let's chat about this album and the potential for you to come over and record over here. And I said, yeah, no worries. And I don't know, I just, I can talk till the cows come home, obviously. And we were just chatting away. And I said, Phil, I just dream wild all the time. I don't even know how to make sense of what goes on in my head or my heart. And he just went, oh my gosh, stop, wait there, don't say another word. And he grabs the guitar and and we wrote that within like 10 minutes. It just flowed out and it was all us talking about me coming over and fulfilling one of my lifelong dreams to come over to Nashville and to experience, American country music and life over there and things like that. And went and spent a few months doing that. So that was really exciting and I cannot wait to get back.
Have you played over here?
But I think that's
when you were here?
not a lot, no. I mean, I did go up and play at the Listening Room in Nashville, so one of the songwriters rounds, and a few other little places. But no, I didn't play there. I like to come over and be a nobody and kind of just immerse myself in everyone else's music and experience it.
So the other thing you said recently was with COVID, you just had another single out, and bear with me here. I'm sorry, I'm the worst with titles.
That's all right.
Your last single was the Fight one. That was actually for a good cause. You want to?
Yes, fight for it,
please. Yes.
That's a really that was probably one of the toughest songs I've ever written. I've got a few of them, and there's a few that I really struggle to sing live because I just think I'm going to melt on the spot. But that one, I think being so close to home that, we are all dealing with mental health, and we have been for so long, especially during COVID and coming out of COVID, if that's what you want to call it. I know as a musician, I felt incredibly lost during COVID. I had a huge tour booked just before it hit. And I've got a lot of family and friends that have dealt with their own share of mental health issues. My dad in particular, when I was growing up, he was my dad. Okay, have you ever seen the movie Wild Hogs?
Yes.
With John Travolta, right?
Yep.
So my dad looks like a hardcore biker and is the biggest teddy bear, is the most awkward human you've ever met. And it's hilarious when he hops on a bike and he's got the big long goatee and he's got this little leather jacket on, and you're like, go dad. Yeah. So he was a really he looks big and tough, and as a kid he kind of came from that era of men don't cry. And it's a big thing here in Australia too, because I guess it's like you've got the land that a lot of people live from, and men running farms and things like that, living through the droughts, and men don't cry. That was always the thing that I heard when I was growing up. So my dad did tell us, he used to tell us he loved us, but not a lot. It was more like a tough love kind of thing. And a few years ago, I was really struggling. I went through a bit of a bad record deal, and I came out of it really hard, in a really bad place. And my dad sat me down and said, he sat me down with a beer. And when dad sits you down with a beer, it's about to go down. And he said, he sought professional help many years ago for something he was going through. And he actually broke down and cried and just basically opened up to me about everything from, me being born through to that point. Wow. And just what he had experienced. And I couldn't believe that, the toughest person in my life had just cried in front of me and opened up about everything that he had been going through. And I just grew this all new respect. I still get goosebumps talking about it, because I feel like I just grew like an incredible amount of love for him, more than I already had, because someone so tough and so strong in your life, like my rock, to open up and say that to me, it was phenomenal. It just did wonders for me. And it inspired me so much, to want to change my life, to want to, get back up on that horse. And, one bad record deal doesn't mean anything, and I wrote this song with him in mind, and he loves the song. And I don't know, it just warms my heart knowing that it's helped a few people in the world.
That's great. I mean, I can imagine just like, I'm not crying, I've got some dust in my, I got some
yeah.
I know it's funny. A side note, I was actually talking about this the other day with somebody. Nothing is harder to see, like a grown man or a woman that's strong that you never see show emotions, and then you see them at that point where they show it. Like you don't know what to do because you're so not used to it. Like it's the weirdest thing.
Absolutely.
The first time, like dad doing it, you're like, I don't know what to do. What do you do?
I thought he was broken for a second. I was like, okay, do we have an on-off button? Do I reset you? What's happening here? It really was like that. And the beautiful thing from that experience for both Dad and I is it opened up an all new chain of communication for us. And we've never been back before we were then, ever since. We've always just openly talked about everything. And Dad will still go, get a beer, sit down. And I'm like, okay. And I'm excited for those conversations. I think it's a beautiful thing. And that's the thing. We do try to talk about mental health and suicide a lot, but I don't think we talk about it enough yet.
It's important. He grabs a beer and you grab the Kleenex, and it's going to be an event.
Yeah. That's it. Most of the time people grab a wine and a box of chocolate, but
a beer and a Kleenex is still good.
Yeah.
So you said your family wasn't really into music, but like so your dad's into the song. Have they kind of come forward now too, really into the music thing now that you're in it?
Yes, they are. They love it. It's like they've kind of been learning all about the music industry and the world of music whilst I've been, living it. Mum always jokingly says, because I love my mum, but she cannot sing to save her life at all, not even at karaoke. It's bad. And she always says, I'm just living my life vicariously through you. And I think, oh, that's great, Mum. Lucky one of us has got the talent.
Well, her not thinking you could sing too, so kind of like maybe she thought you had the genes.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Well, no, it's a bizarre thing because no one else in my family is musical. My nan can hear certain note, like she's got like perfect pitch. So, you know, if I'm to sing a melody line to her, she's never had a guitar lesson in her life or a piano lesson in her life, but she can sit down and she will pick out exact notes that I am singing.
Really?
Yeah, she can hear it. She just goes, hang on, give me a second. And she'll flicker through the piano and she'll go, oh, this is the melody you're singing. And she'll just play it. And I think she's a freak of nature in a good way.
So the single's out. What is the single? Is there a certain overall feeling with that? And besides being summertime, because you're also touring with, it's the Pink Vines, right? It's a collection.
Pink Vines tour, yeah, it is, yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
So the Summertime, Sunshine and You, I literally wrote this at the very beginning of COVID. So we were probably 2 months in, thinking that we were all coming out of this sometime soon, because we didn't
that's like what,
really
5
know.
years ago?
Yeah.
5 years. It's so long.
That's what it feels like. I know. And, you know, so I think at the time I was really thinking, yeah, we'll come out of this really soon. You know, we'll be back touring in no time. I can't wait to hit the road. And, you know, I was just channeling, you know, we were heading into winter. And I think you guys were heading into summer. And I was like, I hate winter. I really do. It brings me down. I'm not a fan. I look like a hobo sitting on my couch because I'm wearing all of my clothes to stay warm. It hits me to my bones. And I was like, you know what? We just want summertime all year round. You know, and I was still single at the time, and I was like, wouldn't it just be nice to be holding someone's hand on the beach and just letting the sun kiss your skin and just living life? And I was vibing with this. You know, I've been locked down, isolated, like we're all feeling this, you know. And I didn't release it last year only because I felt like the timing wasn't right. We were still in the midst of craziness, you know, and I thought, no, I really wanted this to be a song that's got the summertime vibes as we are coming out of COVID. And I felt like this was the perfect timing because I feel like we've really come so far in 2 years. You know, it feels, touch wood, feels like we're on the up and up. And that's why I vibe this song, and I wrote it with some American friends of mine in Nashville via Zoom, Messi and Bruce. And I was channeling this, you know, the Summertime, Sunshine and You, and they were like, oh my gosh, hang on.
Well, the thing is, it's been going on so long now, and like, yeah, winter's been so hard here. So it is good, and it feels like, you know, it opens up, it goes away for a little bit, or it seems like it's going down, and then it turns around. So at this point, you gotta kind of I feel like you just gotta kind of move forward when you have an opportunity. Like a game board, like a kid's game board, you can kind of move forward a little bit, and you might slide back a few, you know, chutes and ladders, or, you know. And the other thing is with the releasing of music is people don't know what to do. There really is no right or wrong way, because during COVID, everyone's writing their best albums. So the game is, the A game has got to be there. You know, are you holding your album? Some people have the album ready to release, and they're like, we're not going to keep it. The fans should have it now while they're trapped at home to listen to it. And some people are like, I get it, but I tour on this album. I don't make money off the album, but that's part of my tour. I'm not touring. I should keep it. That's a hard decision.
Yeah.
There's really no.
It is a hard decision. It's there's no handbook. There's no rule. There's no guide. It's kind of, okay, what are you feeling? Should we hold on to an album? So I am working on an album, and that, I feel like that's almost going to be a flip the coin situation. We have been touring a little bit here. It does come and go. So, and that makes you, as an artist, that makes me feel really bad when people buy tickets to shows, and then, you know, a week later I have to cancel the show because of a COVID outbreak and the venues, you know, canceling everything and closing down, you know. So it's such a fickle situation. You're 100% on the money though. We do have to move forward, you know. So how do we do that? I think that's where one of the beautiful things I found in COVID, we all became more creative. Even the non-creative people became more creative with, how are we going to make money, or what are my, you know, DIY projects at home and things like that. I started building furniture. I kid you not. And not to make money, I made it for my house because I was like, well, I'm in the middle of writing songs.
Like furniture people can see and sit on, not like stuff that's like taped together and driftwood.
No, Do you want me to show you a
Oh,
piece?
please do it. I've
Okay.
antagonized you. Yes.
It's a little bit messy, but so I built our TV unit here, if you can see this.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Nice.
Yeah, I wanted. I just thought, well, we've just bought this brand new house, and it's so big inside. We've got this gorgeous long wall. It's like a big brick wall, and I was like, oh, it's so big that standard furniture doesn't look any good in here. We tried it; it looks terrible. It looks tiny. It's like putting a teeny little chair in the corner and going, oh, okay, what's that there for? And I said, well, I'm a bit of a bigger than life kind of person, so I said to my partner, well, I just need you to buy me some timber. And he's never really seen that creative side of me. I met him at the beginning of COVID, which is another reason why summertime came around, summertime, sunshine and you. And so he said, oh, I've never seen this side of you, this creative, can build furniture side. And I went, well, I'm just going to show you. So yeah, my dad came over and helped me do a few little things. And we threw that together, and he went, wow, you can build furniture. So now, okay, I kid you not, I have got in the shed right now, I'm working on a dining room table, because I sold our little table that didn't work in our house. And now I've got that. I'm going to have to send you a before and after photo.
That's pretty funny. Actually, I like that a lot. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So it was just something I think, we all do just have to move forward with COVID. And, hopefully it's soon going to be a thing of the past. But releasing music during this time is a very, very bizarre situation. I did put out a single last year that was simply done digitally because there was no avenue for us to tour. This time around, I feel a lot more lucky that we are able to tour this next single and to be able to just go out and see people and get out of the house.
And you on a label, or is this your own, doing it yourself?
I have a small label, yeah, with In Groove. So yeah, it's it gets out there to the world, which is great. And yeah, I just want the tour to go ahead. Touch wood, it's all good. Tickets are selling, everything looks good. I'm quite excited.
That's really good. I'm gonna laugh and see you laughing at your dating history being crazy, and then of course to continue it, you're probably the only person to get together with somebody during COVID. Well, everyone else is, breaking apart.
I know. Okay. And it was not to touch wood, not to touch on it too much, but it was an incredibly bizarre situation because, I can admit, and I have no hesitation in admitting, I was on Tinder. And for me, that felt like everyone treated it like a game, right? And I was like, this is such a temporary thing that people are chasing on here when I was, looking for love. And I didn't think, I truly thought, no, Tinder is not the place I'll meet my forever person. And then I met this guy on there, and he gave me the worst pickup line in the world. If COVID doesn't take you out, can I? And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And we started talking, and then this is the thing I loved about COVID. I try to look for the positives. Because of COVID and the lockdowns at the time, I couldn't go and meet Chad. His name is Chad, my partner. I couldn't go and meet him. So we were pen pals for 2 months. And I loved that. That reminded me of like my grandparents getting together back in the day when you would send notes and send letters in the mail, and you would talk. You would genuinely talk about life and your hopes and dreams and your goals and where you want to go and what you want to be when you grow up. And then you would meet and you would get to experience that side of things as well, and it was such a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful we were pen pals for 2 months.
That's so funny. See, to me, I've never done any of this. I've been married for a long time. So to me, my paranoia, as we were talking about earlier before the show, I'd be afraid everything would be, every date would start with a white van in front of the house, with free hugs on the side of it. Everything's going to end there. Yeah. You smell anything on this rag? Oh, you're out cold. So yeah, to me, you're a brave person. Well, you're in Australia though, so everything, you get to fight everything. So you're talking about before.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
So your 2 singles, is this single and your last one, your digital one, are they going to end up on your album as bonus tracks or something? Because as a fan, when an artist does an album and then I'm doing EP and then everything's all over the place, depending on what your music player is, it's kind of hard to keep it all together. You know what I mean? Want to do a playlist. It really can be a pain.
Yeah,
In the real world, I mean,
absolutely.
you know, if it's all together in one spot, it's
I
easier as a fan.
That's it, and but I always run my music career the way I would love to see my idols do it, you
Mhm.
know. And when I take a little piece of all my favorite artists and I go, all right, I love what she did there, and keeping the music together is 100% like that's my goal, because I want to make it easily accessible. I want people to buy an album and not miss out on one of their favorite songs that may have been a single pre the album, you know. So I definitely am going to put them on as bonus tracks because I love them, and I think as well heading in that direction for this next album, they work. They absolutely are a vibe for the album, so they will be there.
I think you're going to evolve more into your own sound too, like a total mixture. Like every song is going to totally be that sound of you with your all your mixtures together, where it won't
Yeah.
overlap one the other. What is your end goal though? Are you looking to be an independent solo artist? Are you looking to eventually have a band? Do you want to be more of a touring person, more of a recording and some touring? Because everyone has COVID's been kind of different for people. People that were toured forever, like I've never been home this long. I've never seen my kids,
Yeah.
never seen my spouse. Or the other ones are like, I gotta go. We gotta get this thing going here. I can't be home.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What about you?
I want to be a touring and recording artist. That's primarily before COVID, I was basically on the road 3/4 of the year, and then I'd spend a quarter of the year at home, writing, recording, hanging out with my dog, everything like that. I've actually really loved having the time at home. Um, it's been very strange and unusual, and there's definitely days where I go, "Ooh, the house is just closed. The walls are closing in on me." So I go and sit in the yard, or do some
Yeah.
gardening, or play with the dog outside, kind of thing. But um, I want to go back to that, to the like about 6 months touring and then 6 months working on new music and
Only because now
creating.
you're
And
starting a new a house and this is a new you guys are like the two of you are a new family. I'm not saying you're a whole more family, but you know what I mean. So now before you didn't have
yeah,
that, so you're like I just keep going forever, but now you've
that's
kind of
exactly right.
got something else going too.
I do, yeah. I've got, like I've got someone to come home to, and we've got a cute little dog who's an absolute pain in the butt. But that's, you're 100% on the money. I didn't have anyone really to come home to before, and I would just be touring Australia and visiting my parents, on my way through back and forwards. I'd be like, hey, I'm here. I'll see you later, and so I'm excited now. I think the 6 months on, 6 months off thing is really kind of going to work for me. And now that I've got more time to write, I'm really looking forward to putting way like more effort into this next album, and really seeing what we can come up with and dig deep. And I know that I've got some songs coming out that are so emotional. They're a great vibe, but they're just, I've channeled all of my heart and everything in them, and I'm going, okay, now I've got to pull it together to play these songs live, because that's hard work. And not
But
to ball my eyes out midway through.
you don't want to bum everybody out. Like your video is fun. Your last video just is fun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, the songs they're very vibey. They're very, very fun. It's just they're just really deep and meaningful for me, But that's the beautiful thing about music, is how if a song is a serious song for me, someone else may not necessarily vibe that. They might be just listening to the music going, this is a fun, cool song, So I'm just really looking forward to that time, on the road, to be getting out there and meeting people and seeing people again, and, playing our songs live. And I do have a band here. So hopefully, at the moment in Australia, it's been tough. We've been, touring as maybe a duo or a trio. But I'm really looking forward to putting the whole band on the road again and just going.
Yeah, a lot of bands over here have kind of splintered or fallen apart over this past few years because you got to live, and they
Yeah.
couldn't do it that way. So bands have kind of divided and conquered and moved around a lot. What is your dream gig? Like who you gonna want to tour with? Who are you aiming for? Like, who are some of the people you
Oh,
want
it's a tough one. So here in Australia, there's a lady by the name of Casey Chambers.
to?
I've literally been a fangirl of hers since I can remember. And I just absolutely adore everything she does. So I would love to tour with Casey. And in the US, it's Miranda. I'm a Miranda girl. I need that would be like, I would be, all right, I can die a happy person now. I'm done.
I could see you going. I could see you doing it. You got the same type of pop sensibilities, in the music. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Probably the same audience without the accent.
Yeah, that's
Either
that's
side
it.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. All right, so everybody's watching the links for all this stuff underneath the show, or if you're listening to a podcast, so you can go to the site, check out the video, go to her Instagram, Facebook, follow her, support her. You want to say, well, for those people that are out there in Australia, you actually have a couple of dates going right now. Do you want to announce those real quickly?
Yeah, so this weekend we are starting the Pink Vines tour this weekend. So on Friday the 25th, we are going to be playing at the Dag Pub in Diagula. And then next weekend, we are at Wynnum Manly Leagues Club. And it is just going to be so much fun. We've got more dates, but I'm only going to throw you the two at the moment just because they're the main ones that we're focusing on. And, we just want to just get back out there and just listen to the music again and, dance a little now that we're allowed to dance.
Well, I'm glad I got to meet you. And I'm glad I got to hear your music. So I want you to come back when your album's done. We'll talk about it some more and promote it and have you back again. But this has been fun. I want to thank you for being on the show.
No, thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I look forward to coming back and telling you a bit more about the new album.
I want to hear about this relationship. You're touring
yeah.
and the dog.